What's up, everybody? Hey, welcome to the Johnny Loves Movies podcast. I have a new review for you. And today, what I'm going to be reviewing is The Long Walk. The Long Walk, latest film adaptation from a Stephen King novella, novel, story, whatever you want to call it. The Long Walk was actually originally Stephen King's very first anything that he's written. Carrie came out first, but The Long Walk was actually, if I am to believe, actually his first story that he's written. But Carrie was the first novel to come out, and it was released at the end of the 70s, I believe 78, 79, under his pen, Richard Bachman. So we have that. And just like in the book, if you're familiar with the novel, The Long Walk is essentially a dystopian type alternate for the 70s present day America, where the regime who's in charge of the government in that universe, they play deadly game shows or deadly games. And one of the deadly games that is actually televised to everybody is The Long Walk, which is essentially a march, if you will, to your peril, to your perishment. In the novel, it's you have to keep a pace of 4 miles per hour. They reduced it to 3 miles in the film adaptation. And if you stop or slow down, you're issued 3 warnings. And if by the third you're not walking at that pace, you are eliminated in the most literal and graphic sense of the word. So The Long Walk basically details, and apparently in the novel and in the film, this has been going on for years. I believe we're in our 20th long walk at this point. So obviously nobody has stopped it at this point. So obviously it's just getting out of control at this point. But in the novel, you're in this latest edition of The Long Walk, and you're following what they call the Musketeers. You have you're essentially your 2 leads of the film. Garraty, played by Cooper Hoffman, who, if you don't know, is the son of the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman. And then you have McVries, who's played by David Jonsson. And if he looks familiar to you, you may have been able to see his performance in Alien Romulus that came out last year, recently. He was also in this independent film that nobody's talked about in any other reviews I've seen, called Rye Lane. That's also on Hulu. It's a lovely romantic comedy film that's on Hulu. Came out about a year ago too as well. I think it's either 2023 or 2024. I could get the dates wrong, but David Jonsson, who we'll get to more to him later. Ben Wang from the recent Karate Kid film that came out earlier this summer. He's also in the film as a character called Olsen, Eric Olsen. And then I'm gonna butcher this young brother's name. I don't have my notes with me, but Art. The character Art. I forgot this actor's name. I'm so sorry. I think that his character was brilliantly realized on the screen, and that is essentially the core 4 that you actually follow in this film. Like I said, it's these boys, these young men who are marching a certain amount of miles. There is no finish line. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's really just the last person standing. And so they take this long walk. They have to keep this pace at 3 miles per hour. And if they slow down or stop for any reason, and it's past the 3 warnings, you're eliminated. And there were some certain changes in the book. Like I know in the book, they reduced it for, I think it's for the benefit of the screen. They reduced it from 100 young men to 50. And I think really for storytelling purposes, translating it from that medium to another, to me, that makes sense. I mean, the movie actually makes a lot of changes in the book that fits and translates better to the film medium. When you leave one medium to another, you do have to make certain sacrifices, but as long as you maintain the spirit of the original source, I don't really have a problem. I'm not really married to it. Has to be 100% of what it was like on the page. I definitely believe that when you're taking a thing from one thing to another, you have to concede some things in order for it to work. So, I didn't really mind the changes in this thing. I really think that the story is very immersive. I think that it absorbs you into this world, and some performances in this film I found very spellbinding. So I'm actually going to just get into my positives, because not really that many negatives that I have for this feature. Um, I really found myself enjoying the performances. Actually, I think that Cooper Hoffman gives a solid performance as one of our leads, Garraty. I think that he has to go from one place to another emotionally. And I think his journey from getting from point A to point B was fully realized. I think that there were certain moments, certain ticks in this film, uh, certain ticks in this film, certain small actory things that he did that I was really impressed by when I was watching Cooper do his performance. And I really do think that he has this earnestness about him, this grounded quality that he has in this film as his character, that I was really impressed by, and I really admire the work that he did. I really admire the emotions he had to convey, a lot of expressiveness, a lot of what you would call acting with the eyes. I think he really nails it. But for me, the biggest standout, I think, the showier performance, the performance that really hit me here, had me shedding some thug tears a little bit, was David Jonsson's performance as McVries. I think this brother is very charismatic. I think that he is the heart of this film, if not the heart, the soul, because I think it's between him and the brother who plays Art. I think they're interchangeable, heart or soul. But I know that what he has to do. You talk about eye acting. You talk about the micro acting, the work that he put in to play uh, to play McVries, Peter McVries. I just, like by the end of the movie, you really feel what he's feeling, and I just think it takes a brilliant, capable actor putting in the work and not having an audience member put in the work when they're watching his work on the screen, to get you to where he is, to get you to know what this brother's thinking. And I just think that man, he really did a lot, and he really was able to use his instruments, every part of it, to convey this character's emotionality and to uh, get you to ride the journey with them. And yeah, man, McVries is definitely one of my favorite characters in this movie, based off of that brilliant performance. And there's moments where you don't agree with some actions, but you understand some actions that he does in this film. But there's a lot of moments where you like, yeah, I would have done that. I'm not gonna lie. There's a certain point in the movie, something happens. I'm not going to spoil exactly what happens, but I was just nodding my head in the theater, like, that's exactly what I would do in that situation. Yeah, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And so, oh man, He was really good. And then Art, oh my God, I'm so sorry I don't have my notes in front of me so I can say this brother's name, give him his due, give him his propers. I'll say his name in the comments, but man, Art was Art had this innocence about him. The actor who played Art was able to convey that innocence, to convey that I'm not gonna say naivete, just to convey that innate goodness that's in all of us. And man, there are certain scenes where Art will have you weeping or on the verge of weeping in the screen. I just think that him and Peter, they're neck and neck between who my favorite characters are. And I don't know if any other audience member who was watching it was putting themselves in the situation, or I'm like more like him, or I'm more like him. But when I'm like deeply immersed, like really immersed in the performance, I often would do that, where I would put myself in the situation and try to compare, who I am to who. And when I was watching this film, I'm like, if I was in that situation, I found myself thinking that I'm somewhere in between Peter and Art. No doubt, I'm somewhere in between Peter and Art. And I think it takes a great performances to easily enthrall you into that mind state. And yeah, it's definitely on the page, but you need the actor to bring what's out on the page onto the screen. And I really think that these guys, they really did their thing. They really did their thing. And I am very impressed by them boys. Then you have I want to shout out Mark Hamill. I want to shout out Luke Skywalker. I think he was good. I think he was solid in the movie. I think that this is a role that hopefully would give him a little bit more respect on his name. I definitely think that there was a menacing game show host quality to the Major. That's his character in the film. I definitely think that the film, we'll get to my negatives, what I think the film needed to suit that character. But I think that Mark Hamill gives another solid performance in another Stephen King adaptation. And 1 year alone, he was in The Life of Chuck earlier this year, which was a feel-good Stephen King movie. You felt good leaving that film. This film, you just man, you just want to cry in the shower for an hour and a half. So I'm very impressed that Stephen King was able to have 2 adaptations, 3 actually, coming up in a couple months. We're getting an action movie with The Running Man in November. So I just think that it's very impressive that he's had 3 different movies, 3 different genres coming out this year. One is a feel good, one is you just gonna lock yourself in your bedroom in the dark and just sob for 3 hours after. And I think that's really just dope that Stephen King was able to do that. And I think Mark Hamill was really good in Life of Chuck that came out earlier this year, and he's really good here. He's really solid performer. Only movie in the world that made me hate Luke Skywalker, and I hated Luke Skywalker in this. But Mark Hamill, oh my God, I'm glad that he's getting more work. I'm glad that he's showing his abilities, showing that he's more than Luke Skywalker, and he's more than the Joker. So shout out to him. I like his performance, and that's the performance is definitely number 1 on my positives. Number 2 on my positives, I've got to go with the story alone. The story alone. It was self-contained. It was very simple. Really, it was more of a character piece than a plot-driven piece, and I really like character-driven plots a lot. And I think that when you put character before the plot, that's when you're 9 times out of 10 going to have a serviceable, good story, good film on your hands. We put the characters ahead of the plot, and I just think that this was a character-driven film. I know this is in the horror thriller category. I actually kind of saw this more of a dramatic thriller. But I really enjoyed this. The story really just moves me. So I really enjoyed the story and what the story was able to do for the characters in certain moments. I like I really enjoyed the pacing of the film. I enjoyed the cinematography of the film, the way the film looks. I think it's a look that really brings you into the world that it's trying to set up. I think this film was. I don't say this often. I only said this about another movie this year. I only said this about another 2 movies this year, so I'm saying about this is my 3rd movie of the year that I'm going to say this. But I really feel that this film was masterfully directed. I think that this is easily Francis Lawrence's best film. And this is a guy who made I Am Legend. He made Constantine, which is now a cult film that everybody loves. He made most of the Hunger Game movies, right? I think this is his best directed film and his filmography. And I think he really was able to bring out a lot of great qualities in this film. And I see why Stephen King chose him as a director for this piece. Like I said, easily one of his best director films. And I think that's it on my positives. So these negatives aren't really negatives, but you got to have negatives. There's no such thing as a perfect movie. I mean, there are some perfect movies, but not every movie is a perfect movie. And there are these nitpicks. They're not big negatives that will take anyone out of the movie. It didn't take me out of the movie. It's just some things that were to be desired, right? And one of my negatives is the Major, Mark Hamill. You know, I just praised his performance, but I really wanted more of him. I really wanted more scenes with the Major, maybe 1 or 2 more scenes. I really wanted to. I really just wanted him to be a little bit more fleshed out as a character. I really wanted to hate him. I only just strongly disliked him, but I wanted a reason to hate him. And so I just think that with the Major, we just needed a couple more scenes, maybe 1 or 2 scenes, in addition to what we got. And so that's a negative. I think another negative is for some of the backstories. Some of the backstories, I wish that we had like maybe a couple of flashback scenes of their life before the walk. Maybe just 1 or 2 for another character. You know, another character says something that's just so vivid and emotional. I guess I wanted to see it, you know, show not tell. And you know that's really it. It's kind of hard to find these negatives, but I had to find a couple of negatives because honestly, this film is, in my opinion, like one of the best Stephen King adaptations on the screen. Yeah, that's right. I said it. I ain't taking it back. The Long Walk, I'm going to say it for the people in the back. The Long Walk is one of the best Stephen King adaptations to screen. Fight me. What you going to do about it? Yeah. So it's difficult finding some negatives because, you know, I don't like giving films a perfect 5. You know what I mean? There always are room for a few things to improve, right? In anything. I only given like in my head 10 films perfect 5. You know what I mean? So, you know, I have to find something because if you give everything a perfect 5, then what's the point? You know what I mean? There has to be some nuance. And so those are the things that I found in this film. I think this is definitely a film that should be seen in theaters, before it comes to Stars, because that's Lionsgate. Lionsgate has a partnership with Stars, so all their movies go to Stars. So I think that this needs to be seen in theaters. I don't know how I did on the week over the weekend. I just seen it, and the movie came out last weekend. But I definitely think this is a film that needs to be seen on theaters. I'm gonna give the film the same rating I gave on Letterboxd, which is 4.5 stars. I really think this is a compelling film. It's a great horror thriller drama that really moves you by the end. Like I said, I was weeping on the verge of actually crying multiple times in this film. And only good actors, good performances, good direction, good story can bring that out of you. And as far as Stephen King adaptations go, it's one of the best. It's probably in my top 5. I got to actually do some more thinking. I might do a ranking video later, but that is my review for The Long Walk. Let me know in the comments what your favorite Stephen King adaptations are. Please like, sub, and subscribe. Come up on them Patreon streets. Follow me, Johnny Streams, on Patreon. Check it out. You might see a couple of unedited deep dives on there. You might even see this review unedited, raw. You know what I mean? Anyway, like I said, hit that like and subscribe on the bottom. I love your beautiful faces. Hello, hello, hello. This is Johnny Loves Movies, The Long Walk. Check it out.